Our wedding night was supposed to be unforgettable. And it was, but for all the wrong reasons. You know that moment when the crowd's cheering, champagne still bubbling in the glasses, and you look at your wife thinking, damn, I hit the jackpot? Yeah, that was me, standing under those stupid fairy lights in the backyard of a rented villa in Napa, smiling like a fool, toasting to love. I was thanking everyone for coming, shaking hands, hugging relatives I barely knew. Meanwhile, my new wife, O'Haley, was off in the shadows thanking someone else. With her lips. The man she chose? His name was Chase. A broad-shouldered, testosterone-chugging gym freak in a designer suit. The kind of guy who'd walk into a room like he owned the oxygen. He was one of her coworkers, just a work friend, she said. He's married too. Don't be insecure. When I turned my head and saw them, I froze. He had her pinned gently against the trellis, his hand cupping her chin, lips locking onto hers like he'd waited years for this exact moment. Her arms weren't pushing him away. They were pulling him in. And the worst part? She smiled into the kiss. Like it was a reward. You ever felt your heartbeat shift from joy to rage in a single second? I felt it. My chest caved in like a sinkhole. The crowd didn't see. They were too busy laughing at my drunk uncle trying to climb the gazebo. But I walked through those lights, past the laughter, and right into the shadows. Chase didn't even flinch. He smirked at me, with my wife's lip gloss still on his face. You should thank me, he said with that smug alpha tone. Just giving her what she really wanted. What I did next wasn't planned. My right hand moved faster than my thoughts. One punch. That's all it took. A sickening crunch echoed off the garden walls. Chase stumbled, holding his nose, blood streaming through his fingers like busted plumbing. He won't be kissing anyone for a long time. Haley screamed, not at him. At me. What the hell is wrong with you, Ryan? Are you psycho? You just assaulted my friend. Your friend? She rushed to his side like I was the villain here. I stood there, fists still clenched, surrounded by twinkling lights and broken illusions. A bridesmaid gasped. Someone spilled wine. My best man tried to step between us, but Haley pushed him off. He didn't do anything wrong, she yelled. You're just jealous because he's not afraid to be a man. And that's when I knew. I married the wrong woman. I didn't say a word. I turned around, walked through that crowd like a ghost, left my own wedding. No speech. No dance. No honeymoon. In the silence of the car, with the engine off, and the moon glaring down, I felt the weight. My tuxedo still smelled like champagne. My hands were shaking, not from the punch, but from the truth finally catching up to me. This wasn't the beginning of our love story. It was the end. I just hadn't noticed the red flags in time. I had ignored the late-night texts she said were from her boss, the gym membership she never used, the perfume that lingered on her skin after brunch with the girls. I had been blind, playing the loyal husband while she choreographed a circus of betrayal behind my back. And the wedding? That was just her performance. A stage for appearances, a spectacle to please her family and followers. But her heart? That was already somewhere else. Somewhere with Chase. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat in that car, staring at the steering wheel, replaying the moment over and over like a broken film reel. I thought about the vows, the fake tears, her hand trembling in mine as she said, forever. Forever lasted less than 6 hours. And in the background, the music kept playing. People kept dancing. The party carried on, celebrating a lie. She had no idea what was coming next that I didn't go back to the villa that night. I didn't text her. Didn't answer the 10 missed calls. I sat in a 24-hour diner in my tux, looking like the ghost of a groom, sipping cold black coffee while trying to make sense of how I got played like that. But the truth? The signs were there. I just refused to see them. Let me take you back a bit. Before the wedding, before Chase, before she shredded my dignity in front of God and everybody, Haley had always been intense, beautiful, absolutely dangerous. I should have known. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made everyone else forget what they were talking about. Eyes like fire, smile like a promise she had no intention of keeping. We met at a friend's engagement party. She told me she liked my laugh, said it made me seem real. That night, she left with me. Back then, I thought it was chemistry. Now I realize she just liked being in control. Haley knew how to say the right things, how to cry when she wanted something, how to make you feel like you were her world, until you weren't. She was always busy, always tired, always just a little out of reach. And then there was Chase. He came into the picture about a year before the wedding. Tall, jacked, tattooed, one of those guys who always seemed to be on speakerphone, laughing at his own jokes. She talked about him often. He's hilarious, she said. He's harmless. Harmless. I remember once, she came home late from some team building retreat. Smelled like expensive cologne and adrenaline. I asked how it went. She said, fine, and jumped in the shower before I could ask more. When I teased her about Chase, she rolled her eyes and said I was acting paranoid. Don't ruin something good with your insecurity, she said. And like a fool, I believed her. The week before the wedding, she was on edge. Said she was overwhelmed with planning. Snapped at me over flower arrangements. Avoided eye contact when I told her how excited I was to start our life together. At the time, I thought it was nerves. Turns out, she was just torn between two men, and not the one she was walking down the aisle toward. And yet, I went through with it. I wanted so badly to believe in the version of her I built in my head. The woman who laughed at my dumb impressions, who wrapped herself around me in the middle of the night, who said she'd never felt safe with anyone else before me. Lies. All of it. Maybe not at first, but definitely by the end. Sitting in that diner, I started looking back at every moment we had together with new eyes. I realized how often I caught her smiling at her phone, how she changed her passwords without telling me, how she forgot to wear her ring when she went out with friends. It wasn't just one kiss at a wedding. It was death by 1,000 cuts. A slow unraveling I refused to acknowledge because I was too deep in love, or whatever I thought was love. I checked my phone again. 11 missed calls. 3 texts. Haley, where are you? Haley, you embarrassed me. Haley, we need to talk. She wasn't sorry for the kiss. She was mad I reacted. And that was the real kicker. She didn't see what she did as betrayal. To her, I had overreacted. Ruined the wedding. I put my phone face down. I wasn't ready to respond. Not yet. But I was ready for something else. I was ready to uncover everything she had been hiding. Because if that kiss was just the surface, God knows what lay underneath. By morning, the tux was wrinkled, my tie was gone, and I looked like someone who had just buried his own sanity. I hadn't slept a second. My brain was on fire, rewinding every conversation, every night she came home late, every kiss that felt slightly less real. The wedding was a joke, a performance, and I was the punchline. But I wasn't going to be the victim. I started digging, not with some big, dramatic plan, but with pure, angry curiosity. I wasn't looking for closure. I was looking for truth, and I wanted all of it. First, I called Jake, my best man, and the only person I halfway trusted in that moment. She kissed him, Jake, I said. Not a peck. I mean, she kissed him like I wasn't even a factor. On our wedding night. There was silence on the line. Then, Ryan. I saw something. I wasn't sure. Thought maybe I imagined it. That hit harder than I expected. He told me he saw them close together during the rehearsal dinner too. Said he thought Chase was being too friendly, touching her lower back, whispering things in her ear. Haley just laughed and leaned in. And you didn't say anything? I didn't want to cause drama before your wedding, man. You were in love. In love. I almost laughed. I checked Haley's social media. Her page was locked down. No new posts since the wedding. I switched to Chase's profile and jackpot. The guy was an idiot. His Instagram was full of shirtless mirror pics and flexing videos. And one story from the night of our wedding was still up, just 2 seconds of blurry lights, a wine glass, and a soft laugh that was definitely hers. I zoomed in. Her voice. Her giggle. In his room. After the ceremony, I felt something break in my stomach. Like betrayal finally had a shape. And a sound. But it got worse. I went to our shared iCloud account. Yes, the one she forgot I had access to, and found a backup of her phone messages from 2 months ago. There were dozens of messages with a contact named C. C, can't stop thinking about the other night. Haley, me neither. Being with you is like waking up from a bad dream. C, tell me you'll leave him. Haley, after the wedding. Just wait. I have to play it smart. My chest turned to ice. I'd read enough. She had planned this. Married me with full knowledge she was going to leave me. Use me. Probably for money, status, whatever she could grab on her way out. She wanted the ring. The party. The photos. And then? Goodbye. That's not love. That's a con. I felt sick, but I didn't cry. No more crying. I was done being the guy on the floor while she rewrote the script to make herself the victim. She texted again. Haley, you're being immature. Let's talk like adults. Adults? Adults don't sneak off and kiss someone else during their wedding. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the screenshots to my email. Every text. Every iCloud backup. I made a folder and labeled it The Real Haley. Then I booked a room at a hotel and checked out of our joint bank account. She wanted to play games? I was done playing husband. It was time to be the storm. I returned to the house 2 days later, not to talk, not to forgive. I came to watch her lie in real time. When I stepped through the door, Haley was sitting on the couch in silk pajamas, scrolling through her phone like she hadn't just lit a grenade in our marriage. Her face twisted into an offended pout the second she saw me. Well, so you're alive. She crossed her arms. I guess ignoring your wife is your new thing now? I didn't say a word. Just set my bag down and stared at her. Really stared. No love left in the look. No trust. Just cold curiosity, like I was studying a stranger. She sighed dramatically. I get that you're upset, but you seriously overreacted. It was just a moment, Ryan. Chase was drunk. It meant nothing. I kept staring. And punching him like that? At our wedding? You embarrassed both of us. I tilted my head. So, it was just a drunk kiss? Exactly. Then why do you have texts from him saved in your deleted iCloud messages from 2 months ago? That made her flinch. Just slightly. But I caught it. Her face hardened. Are you seriously snooping through my private messages now? I stepped closer. You married me while texting another man about how you couldn't wait to leave me. That's not privacy. That's premeditated betrayal. She laughed, like she couldn't believe I dared to fight back. You're acting like a little boy who got his toy stolen. No. I'm acting like a man who realizes he married a fraud. She stood up then, face burning. You think you're some saint? You work late every night. You barely talk to me. You're boring, Ryan. You were already halfway gone. Chase made me feel alive. There it was. The real her. No filter. No fake tears. Just venom and ego. So this was about you feeling alive? She shrugged. I'm not going to apologize for wanting more than just schedules and bills. I smiled. Not out of humor, out of clarity. You could have left, I said. You could have called off the wedding. But you wanted the gifts, the attention, the validation. You wanted to look like a bride even if you were already someone else's. I did what I had to do, she snapped. It's a woman's world, Ryan. I'm sorry you couldn't keep up. That hit me like a slap. Not because it hurt, but because it proved she never saw me as a partner. Just a placeholder. A fool with a ring. I walked past her and went upstairs. Packed some essentials. She followed me, throwing out insults like confetti. You're pathetic, she yelled, running away like a coward. You know what? Fine. Go. I'll be just fine without you. I zipped my bag. I know. You've been fine without me for a while, haven't you? I paused at the door. Looked back one last time. You didn't just ruin our marriage, Haley. You ruined the version of yourself I fought to believe in. And that's on you. I walked out. No slamming doors. No dramatic screams. Just silence. The kind that says this is over. Back at the hotel, I poured myself a glass of water, sat on the edge of the bed, and exhaled. I felt lighter. Not healed, but awake. The mask was off. And now I could finally see what I'd been married to. The fallout wasn't immediate. It was worse. It was quiet. No screaming phone calls. No tear-filled apologies. No, please come home. Just radio silence from Haley for 3 days straight. I thought I'd be relieved. I wasn't. There's something strange about betrayal. It doesn't hurt all at once. It's a slow bleed, like your mind keeps uncovering new angles of the lie every hour. I'd be brushing my teeth and suddenly remember how she once told me, "You're the only man I've ever felt safe with." I'd choke on my own disgust. Was that safety before or after she crawled into Chase's lap behind my back? I didn't tell my family. Not yet. I didn't want pity. I didn't want to hear my mother say, but she seemed so sweet. No. I needed to be the first one to say it. She's a parasite in white satin. But the world didn't know that yet. So I gave them something. I made one post on social media. One photo. From our wedding night. Me standing alone by the microphone, holding a champagne glass, smiling like a fool. The caption read, "The best performances deserve a standing ovation." I just didn't know I was the audience. I didn't tag her. I didn't explain. I just let the silence grow teeth. By the next morning, it had over 100 comments. Friends. Coworkers. Some from people I barely knew. All of them confused, curious, alarmed. I didn't respond to a single one. But Haley did. She called me 5 times in 1 hour. Then finally, a text. "Haley, what the hell did you post? Everyone's asking me if we broke up. Haley, take it down. You're being immature. Haley, you're blowing this out of proportion." I stared at her messages and wondered, Did she really think this was salvageable? I called her. Why'd you marry me, Haley? There was a pause. Then, because I loved you. I laughed. Genuinely. The first real laugh in days. You loved me? Then why the messages to Chase? Why did you tell him you'd leave me after the wedding? She didn't answer. Why did you kiss him during the reception? Still nothing. You had options, Haley. You could have walked. You didn't need to humiliate me. That's when she broke her silence. You think everything's black and white. Life doesn't work like that. Chase, he understands me. He sees me. You? You just wanted a wife who'd sit down, shut up, and wear the ring. Well, I said. You really believe your own delusions. You're not exactly perfect, Ryan. No, I replied. But at least I didn't lie while wearing a tux. She went quiet, then whispered something that still burns in my brain. I don't regret the kiss. There it was. Her truth. No sugar. No excuses. And with that, I hung up. I stared at the wall for a while. Not thinking. Just being. Letting her words soak into my bones. That night, I got a call from Jake. Bro, you need to see this. He sent me a screenshot. Chase. On his Instagram. A selfie. Black eye still healing. Captioned. Some men can't handle reality. I'm not sorry for what she wants. I didn't get mad. I didn't throw anything. I just smiled and whispered, good. Because now the whole world could see what she really wanted. And soon, they'd know what I was about to do next. I never considered myself a vengeful man. Not until I found myself smiling at a photo of the guy who kissed my wife, bragging about it like he'd won a championship. With her standing behind him in the mirror's reflection, half naked, blurred, but unmistakably Haley. So that's how they were playing it. Public. Proud. Untouchable. Fine. If they wanted to live without shame, I'd let them. But not without consequences. I started small. First, I went to the bank. Remember those joint accounts? I cleaned out my half. Transferred it into a private account she had no access to. She'd already burned the bridge, now she'd walk it without a safety net. Next, I called my lawyer. We'd never signed a prenup, her idea. Said it was bad energy before a wedding. But thankfully, the house was in my name. The car, too. She contributed nothing financially, and I had records to prove it. Everything else? Easy to separate. Fastest divorce I've ever filed, the lawyer said. Based on what you told me, it's practically open and shut. Good. Because I wanted out fast, before her lies tangled themselves into more paperwork. Later that day, I boxed up everything that smelled like her. Wedding photos. Her favorite candles. Even the damn "Love Lives Here" sign she insisted on hanging in the kitchen. I tossed it all in a pile in the garage. Not to burn it. No. I wasn't that reckless. I wanted her to come back and see it. A graveyard of her performance. Then I messaged Jake. Let's have some fun. We met at the bar downtown. The same bar I took Haley to on our third date. This time, it wasn't candlelight and flirting. It was whiskey and war plans. I told him everything. The iCloud messages. The story on Chase's profile. Her confession. All of it. You know what the worst part is? I asked him, swirling the glass in my hand. She wasn't sorry. Not once. Not even when I gave her the chance. Jake leaned forward. Then stop playing fair. I did. That weekend, I sent every piece of evidence I had to her parents. Screenshots. Photos. Recordings. The whole rotten story. No commentary. No explanation. Just facts. They were traditional people, old school values, conservative as hell. They adored me before the wedding. Now, I wanted them to see their perfect daughter without the filter. The fallout came quickly. Her dad texted me the next morning. Imar. Harris. I had no idea. I'm so sorry, Ryan. You deserved better. She called later that night, voice trembling. Why would you do that? She whispered. They're furious. My mom's crying. My dad called me a disgrace. I leaned back on the hotel bed. I didn't lie to them, I said. You did. You could have just let me go. I did. But you wanted to humiliate me on the way out. You could have walked out the front door, Haley. Instead, you blew up the house and called it liberation. You're cruel. I chuckled. No. I'm just done being your clown. She tried to spin more guilt. Said I was ruining her life. Said I was attacking her for one mistake. One mistake. I said. You kissed him at the wedding. You slept with him before it. You planned to leave me after cashing in on our marriage. That's not a mistake, Haley. That's strategy. Silence. Then the click of her hanging up. That night, I slept like a stone. I wasn't just walking away from her. I was rewriting the story she tried to script for me. And trust me, my version didn't end with heartbreak. It ended with fire. 3 weeks after I filed for divorce, the dust began to settle. Not because the storm was over, but because I was done chasing the wind. The lawyer handled the paperwork with brutal efficiency. Haley didn't contest it, probably because she knew dragging it out would only dig the hole deeper. Especially after I sent her employer an anonymous packet with her wedding photos and the timeline of her affair with Chase, his co-worker, by the way. HR took it seriously. Their relationship violated company policy, and both were swiftly restructured out of their jobs. I didn't even have to lift a finger beyond the email. Poetic justice. But the revenge wasn't the best part. The best part was the silence. I had blocked her on everything, deleted every photo, burned the old email threads. My home was finally clean. Her makeup stains no longer haunted my pillowcases. Her fake laughs no longer echoed through the halls. One morning, I stood in the kitchen, made black coffee, and just stood there. In total stillness. The air was different. Not just emptier. Lighter. That's when I realized something terrifying and liberating. I never really knew peace until she was gone. That woman had been draining me long before I caught her with Chase. The sarcasm. The cold shoulders. The manipulation dressed as concern. She made me doubt myself every day, just enough to keep me apologizing, chasing, proving I was worthy of her. But when you stop trying to impress someone who is only there to consume you, you start to feel free. A week later, Jake and I hit a cigar lounge. Not to celebrate, just to breathe. "You good?" he asked as he poured us both a bourbon. I nodded. "Better than I've been in years." He raised an eyebrow. "You don't sound angry anymore." "I'm not," I said. "Anger's a leash. She's not worth carrying around." He smiled. "You sure you don't want to find her car and key cheater into the side?" I chuckled. Tempting. But no. Her life is punishment enough. We clinked glasses. And for the first time, I meant it when I said I was moving on. Later that night, I opened a blank document on my laptop. Not for work. Not for a legal letter. Just a letter to myself. I wrote everything down. The whole journey. From the moment I saw her kiss him to the moment I walked out of that house. I detailed every red flag I ignored, every lie I swallowed, every time I chose silence over confrontation. It wasn't for revenge. It was for reminder. Because someday, I'll fall for someone again. But that time, I won't miss the signs. I won't ignore my gut. I won't make excuses for someone who treats me like a stepping stone. And if any man out there finds himself where I was, lost in the middle of a betrayal he didn't see coming, I want him to know this. You're not broken. You're not weak for believing in love. You just gave it to the wrong person. Don't let their betrayal become your identity. Let it become your awakening. The next morning, I printed the letter, folded it, tucked it into my wallet. My truth. My scar. My shield. The past was done. But I wasn't. The day the divorce was finalized, I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't even celebrate. I went for a walk. No destination, no purpose, just me, my steps, and a sky that didn't feel so heavy anymore. The same city I used to dread walking through, where every street had a memory tied to her, now felt like it belonged to me again. Her shadow had finally lifted. There's a strange sense of pride in surviving something that tried to break you quietly. Not with fists or fire, but with deception. With smiles that had daggers behind them. With "I love yous" spoken like spells to keep you asleep. But I was awake now. Every scar she left on me had turned into armor. And no one was going to wear me down like that again. A few weeks after the papers were signed, I saw her. Not in person. On social media. A mutual friend had tagged her in a photo at some rooftop party, wearing a fake smile next to Chase. Yes, still with him. His jaw had healed. But I could see it in his face. He wasn't winning. He looked like a man who just realized what he'd inherited. And she? She was trying too hard. Eyes that screamed, "I'm fine," smile stretched like a costume. No warmth. No depth. Just performance. That was Haley's curse. She always thought the applause mattered more than the truth. I scrolled past the photo without hesitation. Because the truth was, I didn't need to look back anymore. People asked me later, friends, colleagues, even my brother, how I got through it. How I stayed so calm. How I didn't completely lose my mind. Here's the answer I gave them. I stopped trying to understand why someone would lie to me. I started focusing on why I believed them. That shift changed everything. I began building again. Not just my life, me. I joined a boxing gym, not to fight, but to feel. Every punch into the bag was like exorcising another lie she told me. Every sweat-soaked hour in that room rebuilt my spine. I started reading again, books I loved before her. I saw old friends. Took a solo trip to Denver. Sat on mountaintops and told myself, you're still here. And that matters. I even started journaling. Each page a reminder that I was the author now. Not her. Not Chase. Me. And maybe the biggest change? I forgave her. Not for her. For me. I didn't want to carry her in my bones anymore. I didn't want to flinch every time someone said her name. She didn't deserve a permanent room in my head. Forgiveness isn't about saying, what you did is okay. It's about saying, what you did no longer controls me. That was the final chapter. And if you're reading this, if you're the guy who's been betrayed, lied to, discarded, hear this loud. She didn't break you. She just freed you. Let her have her fake smiles. Let her keep the people who applauded her betrayal. They're not your people. Your people will come. The ones who don't need a performance. The ones who don't hide daggers and kisses. You'll find them. But only once you become whole again. As for me, I'm not the man she married. I'm the man she never had the depth to keep. And thank God for that.